Hiya guys, Nigel with Nigel's Modelling Bench, and I've got another product review for you today, and it's from the wonderful company One Man Army, and it's a new mask set. So if you've got one of these, this is the beautiful Hong Kong Models A-20G, which is just the best kit Hong Kong Models have ever made in my opinion. And you don't want to use these, which is the decal set that comes with the kit, well most of them anyway. You're going to have to get yourself one of these. And this is the brand new, I believe, according to Sven, I am the first person on the planet, other than him, to get one of these. So you're seeing this fresh off the press, or hot off the press, should I say. So this is the basic markings and stencil masks for Hong Kong Models A-20G Havoc over Europe. 1/32 scale, high definition airbrush masks in 1/32 scale. And you can see here some examples. This is actually a P40 he's used here, but you can see how small some of these stencils are, and you've probably seen these reviews before. It's basically the same thing over again. It's a set of masks. Now, the first thing I want to say, the last time I talked about this, it caused some confusion. And somebody was saying, or somebody was asking, a couple of people were asking, what is a stencil? Well, it's a bit weird, okay? If you watch somebody, I don't know, paint something on a box, say a shipping container, they will generally put like a metal or a cardboard board onto the box and then spray through it. Okay, that is the stencil. The stencil is the thing you paint through. So this is the stencil. This mask is the stencil. The difference is I don't know if it's true in the aircraft world, but certainly in the modelling world, when we remove that mask, what we leave behind we call a stencil. So it's kind of us that's messed it up really. It's like here on this decal sheet, you've got here you've got this wording here, okay, that you can't really see very clearly because I don't want to take it out of the bag, but you can see here you've got the wording. We call that a stencil, but it's actually, it's what made it is the stencil. So that's where the confusion lies. So that is a stencil. When you paint through it and you remove the stencil, which is the stencil mask, you're actually leaving behind some lettering, which is called a stencil. So there we go. So that's cleared that up. Right. So this is, as I say, brand new. It's for the A-20G in 32nd scale from Hong Kong Models. Now, as you can see, we've got the normal sort of format here. So first of all, we'll look through here. So we've got many stencils that aren't even on the kit decal sheet. There's a couple of decals you're going to have to use. If you're going to do any of the three versions, you're going to have to use the lady or the black painted out lady. Okay, so the November 44 I believe had that painted out. June and October had the lady on there. We've got masks for all this mislaid and everything. We don't have masks for the French or the American flags. We don't have those. We have masks for pretty much everything else. We don't have masks for the walkways, and we don't have masks for that symbol there, obviously. But pretty much everything else, obviously we don't have masks for the instrument panel, but pretty much everything else is covered. We don't have masks for the actual oval, is the Hamilton propeller sign, but we do have masks for the actual writing on the propellers. So yeah, you'll see what's in there now. And you can see on here, basically, we've got masks here for all our stenciling, for our upper wings, for the fuel fillers and everything. And underneath it's got cautions about disconnecting cables and connections before removing the wing sections, wing junction box tie downs, install pad before jacking. So we've got a hard area there, a hard point. Let's say you to put a pad there before you jack. That's where you jack it up if you want to work on the undercarriage. And we've got all these different masks, and it's quite a complicated little system here because there are many sort of knobs and buttons and stuff on the surface, lumps and bumps. So we've got to make our mask go around that, and Sven's done a beautiful job and made it all work. We've also got, which I thought was a really nice touch, I'm going to show you in the book in a minute. We've got, I noticed this and sent it to him. Some of this stuff came from me, so if anything's wrong, you can blame me. I sent some information to him from the book. And you can see the Martin turret there. Now I'm not sure if that would be there in reality. I don't know. I think it was probably just a sticker that was probably ripped off as soon as it left the factory, but because it probably would have got in the pilot's way, in the gunner's way to look out the window. But I thought it was a nice touch to put it in there anyway. And then we've got our numbers here for our ammo going into the into the nose there. I can't really speak today. Gun junction box, we've got a stencil there. We've got a stencil here, remove for ground heating accents, oil V drain valve. And then we've got, he's also included stencils for your ammo boxes. If you're having your doors open, you've got the ammo boxes there. One thing I would be concerned about is he's got that bullet there facing that way. I would have thought it would face that way. I can't find any references with those pictures. I haven't looked very hard, to be honest, but I can't find it. I would check your references. I think that bullet maybe has to face forward. I can't see that it would be twisted around and putting the gun backwards. The same over here. I would have thought that bullet there should be facing forwards as well. We've also got down here, we've got our retracting step. We've got the step there. There's also a push for release. The button is not actually in the kit. I'm going to show you some references. In fact, I'll show you the references now. We'll get that bit out of the way. I have here the William Wolfe Douglas A-20 Ultimate Look from Drawing Board to Peerless Allied Light Bomber. The ISBN number is there, should you want to get this book, but it's about 50 odd pounds. It's there you go again. It's quite an expensive book, but it is very, very detailed, and this is the book that I referenced Edward for the tyre sizes, and it's got 520 pages. There you go. So I've made some little pencil notes on here. So first of all, this Martin turret is on page 392. So 313, here we go, and you can see it there. There is the Martin turret actually on the turret. You can see it there. So I sent him that, and he's actually done it, and it looks like it's a sticker. I've got the same thing in the back window of my Mustang. There's a little oval sticker in the back window, and it's quite tacky. It's not, you know, it's not designed to stay there, I don't think. And it's just a little oval sticker about Flat Rock, the factory where the Mustangs were all made. And the employees are very, very proud of the fact that they've got this Flat Rock factory that's made all the Mustangs. So that's what that is, and I think that would be removed, but I thought it was a bit of fun to put it in there. Over here we've got number 5. Now on the back you'll see here we've got instructions. You've got miscellaneous. So obviously Sven is not 100% certain whether they should be there or not, but he's got it there. It's basically saying US Army A-20G 25DO AF 439224, whatever that means, crew weight 600 pounds. So it's a little sort of specification sticker that goes, or stencil that goes there. It's on page 269. So we go back here to 269, there's 270, back to 269, and we can see it there on the side of the cockpit here. You can see it there. That's that one, and it's put in as miscellaneous. It's number 5, and that's where it goes. Also of note here, you can see something that's missing in the kit. This is an early windscreen with no horizontal bar, and this is the G, and that's missing on the kit, so it'd be easy to mask and paint that in. That'll be an easy job. I'll show you when I come to do my, what we'll do is we'll cut the masks, the art scale kit masks, we'll cut them before we fit them, and then add them on. In fact, it may have already been done. Peter may have already done that, I don't know. So that was that one. Up here at the beginning, we've got the fuel filler markings. Now, there's 2 options here because Sven has seen 2. This is what you get in the kit. You get the decal that goes around the fuel filler, and then the wording in the middle. But in this book, you will see on here, page 343, you will see the fuel filler is actually painted red. There it is there. Okay, and this is on the upper wing, just outboard of the engine, and inboard of the engine. Sorry, inboard of the engine and outboard. This is the actual inboard one because you've got that bit there where it says no step, and he's got that in there as well. So you can see there the fuel filler is actually painted red. So what he's doing is giving you 2 options here, and we're going to go through this in depth in a minute. You've got the option of having the red ring around the fuel filler and the writing in the middle, or you've got the red fuel filler with the writing in the middle. So what you're basically going to use the same mask, 28L, 28R for the right hand side obviously, and that's going to be the fuel filler, the words that are on there. But for B, you're going to mask the whole fuel filler off, spray it red, and then use the stencil. With this one, you're going to do a little system I'll show you in a minute. I've got the actual wing part here, so we can do a little demo. We've also got this one here, number 7 is worth noting. You've got a quite a complex little system going on here. Where is number 7? It's on the other one, isn't it? It's on the other sheet. It's going to be difficult to show. I'll probably show you on the model actually. But you've got number 7 here, which you can see is a series of rings on there. So what you do is you take out the center, throw it away. Then you get 7T. You put the you take out the center and throw it away, and you weed out that ring. So you end up with the square box and that ring, the inner ring around the inner circle. You weed that ring out. Okay, you're going to weed that ring out, and I'll just show you. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to get a nice sharp pointed blade. We're going to remove this center here. Put that to one side. We're going to weed out this ring here. Okay, and then we're going to take a 7T, which is a transfer tape, and we're going to put that over and rub it down on a hard surface. Okay, get that well pushed down. Then I'm going to get a little scrap piece of masking tape. This is one of the best tips I can ever give you. As I say, I'm going to do a generic video on how to do all this. So I'm going to get a little piece of scrap masking tape, get that off on my knife, and I'm going to pick the corner up and put that bit of masking tape underneath. There we go. And that will give me an easy way of picking the mask off the model after it's all painted and everything. So we're going to do that, and we're going to gently peel this away. Okay, so now we have our, you can see we've got our mask, we've got that ring removed, and we've got the hole in the centre to go over the raised portion on the wing. I'm just going to push that one back down. So now we're going to come over to our wing. We can see on here where it's going. We've got a ring, a red ring basically going around it. So I'm going to grab my tweezers. I should have my anise tweezers out, but I haven't. And I'm going to place this down. Let's zoom you in a bit. Let's zoom you in to show you this. Okay, so I've got my mask. You can see there we've got the, come on camera focus. We've got the mask. So what we're going to do now is place this down over our piece like that, and then just push it down. Okay, rub that down nicely, and then I'm going to grab my knife and I'm going to come along and remove, slowly remove my transfer tape like so. And now you can see what we will do is we will mask around here with tape, mask over that center raised bit with some liquid mask or something, and when we spray it we'll end up with a red circle around the part. Okay, tune in, hit the bell, then you'll get notifications. I will be actually doing this very soon on this model because I'm going to start this model this week. So there we go, you can see me doing that, and I'm also going to do a video on how-tos. But that is a really nice, clever, thought out system. It's a fairly complex, quite involved little system, but it's the way of getting that mask done. You know, there is no other way of really getting it precisely into position like that. So it's beautifully done, and as they always are with Sven, they always are beautifully done. And there we go, just to show you, if you're super careful and your paint is super thin, you can actually reuse them. I just put that back down on there. So there we go, that is that one. You can see I put it back on. So there we are. Camera, come on, focus. There we go. You can see I've put it back on there. That's that one there. So there we go. So that's how we're going to go with that one. This one here, number 4, is on the other sheet, I believe. Yeah, number 4. Okay, so what does I have to do with this one? Bags. I hate these bags with the sticky edges on them. Urgh. Right, so what does I have to do on this one? I'm going to get these instructions out of the way. And I think I'll zoom you in a bit again as well. So let's come back in. Let's come in a bit closer. There we go. Right, so we got on the sheet here, we've got number 4. And you can see here, this one has a disc in the centre and a dotted line around the outside. So what Sven is asking us to do here is remove this disc in the center, and then we can place this on our fuel filler. Just push it down and get it centered. Now I've actually asked Sven if he could make this a bit bigger. It would make it a lot easier to get it centered because this is all by eye. Now bear in mind that there are no doubt whatsoever the stenciling on the aircraft would not be perfect. It would not be absolutely 100% perfect in line, but that is so that's on there in the center of that fuel filler. You can see it there. Okay, so I believe I'm looking at that, and I believe that is pretty much in the center. As I say, if it was slightly bigger, it would be a lot easier. What I've suggested to Sven is perhaps make another mask that fits perfectly in the fuel filler, with a hole in the same size as that one, put that one in the hole and then peel off the outer one and then carry on as normal. So that's what he's asking us to do, put that one in there. Then we come along and we take a 4T, okay, 4T is the transfer, anything with T on it is transfer. So we come along, we take the 4T, oh come out, sorry I've got to weed this first. So what we'll do here is weed this, take those bits out, just like so. Okay, get those bits out of there. You can see how beautifully cut these things are, how easily it all weeds out. They are so beautifully made. They are gorgeous. Now we're going to take 4T. Okay, 4T has a hole in the center, so we need to get a flat surface for this. So we're going to get 4T and put 4T down over our mask, roughly in the center. It doesn't matter how good it is, and then rub it down. Give it a good rub down. What you could do if you wanted to is get a round bar or something and just give it a rub, just to make sure it's gone down nicely. Then again, I'm going to get a little scrap piece of masking tape, like so, and put that underneath that corner, like that. Just cut that off. Give that bit of excess there. Go away. And then I'm going to lift this up with my knife, pick up the corner. Okay. Then I'm going to get my wing. Okay, and I'm going to put this mask down over that center. And there we go. And then I'll remove the transfer tape. Carefully remove the transfer tape. Taking it off slowly so you can see if it starts to lift anything. So we'll put the transfer tape over there. So now we've got our mask, and we can mask off around here now with some tape. Just cover up that center, and then we will have a ring around our fuel filler, which is a red dotted line. Okay, so that's how beautiful that is. It's all so much better than using decals. Now I'm going to take this one off again. So I'm going to put that down on there. I'm going to show you that prove that you can, if you're really careful, you can reuse these things. Pull it off very, very carefully. See, it's wanting to leave that center in. So I'm just pulling it off very, very carefully. There we go. And now I can place this back down in there, like so. And there we go. And then I can come along with my knife. I can lift the transfer tape away, which the thing is, it's the actual mask wants to come away from the backing paper because the adhesion between the transfer tape and the mask itself is stronger than the adhesive between the actual mask and the backing paper. We can put that one back down in there. Okay, so what I've just shown you is configuration A. There's also configuration B, where you have mask C, which I believe is on this sheet. Is it? Yes, you have mask C. And so we can put this down. Yes, it does stay in shape. Put that down around our fuel filler. Just like so. Mask off around it, spray it red, and then get your decal, your mask 28, put that down over the top. 28 is, the wording is, capital 3. There it is, there's 28R. So the idea there is, you get that mask, and that mask will fit perfectly in that circle. So you can see there's the C, and then 28 is this sort of like a ball socket sort of shape, and that circle will fit perfectly in there, and you've got plenty of mask to peel off and take it away, and that's why he's done it like that. Now this one here, number 26, that's an interesting shape. You can see this is an example of the stencils. This is how tiny the lettering is. You can see there by the size of my fingers how tiny it all is. Sorry about my nails, guys, they're disgusting. There's that number 5 that goes on the side of the cockpit there. But you can see here's another one here. But I want to look at that number 26 because it's a very interesting shape. So we'll see why he's done this. This is how much thought Sven puts into his work. 26, where is 26? I can't see it at the moment, but I'm going to see it in a second. 26. 26 is going on the side of the fuselage. So obviously he's made that to fit between raised areas on the panels. In fact, let's grab the kit and have a look. Okay, so we've got our fuselage halves here, and I've got the mask here with 26. I'm just going to lift 26 away from the sheet. Now I'm not sure, this is the first time I've done this, so I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work out. But I'm going to have a look. I haven't put the piece of masking under the bottom left corner, which I always do, because I want to put this back on the sheet obviously afterwards. So this is going to go on here, and we can see that the writing is supposed to be underneath this rectangular panel. So I believe that what Sven has done here, yes he has, he's cut this decal, this mask this way, so that the actual mask itself, this area here, they've got this line here at the bottom and this line here, lines up with the panel line on the fuselage. So we can line that up with the panel line there. It would rather stick to my horrible tweezers than the model. There we go, we rub that down and then we spray through that and we'll have our stencil. You can see they've got, what he's done, he's made this cutout area here, this cutout area here, and there where it's cut up, that is actually designed. That is actually designed to line up with the panel line. Camera's struggling to see it. It's struggling with the yellow and the grey. So hopefully it will come out better for you than what I can see on the screen. So there we are. So you can see that Sven is very, very thoughtful in the way he does these masks. Unlike some other companies we can mention that, you know, just don't seem to think about anything, and they'll give you masks that have to go over compound curves and all sorts. It's the same with Art Scale Kit. Their masks are, they do the window masks and everything, and they are so well thought out. You know, wherever there's a compound curve or anything, it's done as separate pieces, and extensive use of liquid mask and everything. So that's gone back together. The other thing I didn't do is I didn't take this one off of this wing here, did I? So we can see I can get under there easily, get under there with a pair of tweezers. Just take that one away. There we go. And then I can put that one back on the sheet, put it in the left hand corner, put it down, and there we go. Just like that. There we are. And I can put the disc back in the middle if I want to, not that I really need to, but there we go. And don't forget, guys, at the end of the day, you've got all these circles that are coming out of everything. You can keep all them on a, you know, keep them on the backing sheet, whatever, on a separate piece. Maybe cut the masking away from here and keep a little piece of backing paper. Put them down, and you've got masking circles then for the future use for doing other lights and stuff like that. So there we are. Right, so now we've looked at the set. I'm going to go through the generic instructions again, as I do in every one of these videos. So if you've seen all this before, you can fast forward until you see something different on the screen. Or if you press the forward button on your keyboard, it jumps 5 seconds every time. So bang, 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 bang. Just keep pressing it until I disappear and do something else. So, as you can see, we've got our instructions there laid out, and all the masks are beautifully cut and beautifully presented. And then on the back here, we've got our general instructions. And you can see here, this is how we're going to paint our bomb count on there. So you basically got 2A and 2B. So you've got here you've got 2A. So that is basically a square. So you're going to take that off of there, put it on the side of your fuselage exactly where you want it, mask around it, remove that mask, paint the area white, okay, and then you're going to very, very carefully fish this one up, peel that one up, put it down over the masking, over the white, and then spray your dark grey, black, whatever you want for your bombs. Take the whole lot off, and you've got a painted system. And if you want to, you can gently rub it and gently take some of the edges off the paint and do all sorts. You can really, really play with it. I know you can sand decals as well, but sometimes decals don't take kindly. Imagine if Sven could make a set for that tackle Apache, that would be great, wouldn't it? And then here we've got the same, we've got La France, Libra, mislaid and all that. We've got everything on there for doing everything we need. Now the fire extinguisher inside is a bit of a complex one. You've got F is a template. Where is F? I've seen it on here. There we go. Right, so you've got F is a template. You can see F there. It's basically just a rectangular ring. Okay, so what you're going to do is position on model. So your F is a template. So you're going to position that square on the model and then mask around it. Okay, spray it red. Then, now carefully weed fire extinguisher from the backing. So in here you've got fire extinguisher, and underneath it says inside. Inside is already cut out, but you're going to have to weed out the fire extinguisher lettering, which is going to need magnifiers and a very sharp point. And then you're going to peel that one off, place it over the red, and then spray your black over the top. And then you will end up with a red rectangle with fire extinguisher inside, which is just like that. Okay, so there we go. So that's it really. I'm just going to cover some generic instructions. Now in the set, every one of these sets you get this card here, which is a user manual, and it's very simple. It's describing the use of transfer tape. So here you can see, got a load of clutter around me here. Here you can see we have a number 3. Okay, so he's picking up the bottom corner, putting a piece of tape under it, weeding out the number 3. So he's got the mask now with the 3 in it. Then he's putting his transfer tape over the top. Place that onto the model where you want it, and then remove your transfer tape, and then you can spray your number 3. The transfer tape is to keep it in shape and stop it all going around. You can imagine if you tried to take that off, it would all pull out of shape. Same here for the circle. Put that down. Transfer tape over the top of your so we've got transfer tape on the circle. Take the transfer tape off, it leaves the circle behind. You spray that white. Then you've got the star with the transfer tape on the top. Position that on the model, take the transfer tape off, paint your blue. Okay, what he's actually done here, if you look at the sizes, what Sven does, there's a rectangle there with a circle in it, and there's a rectangle here with a star in it, or it's a square with a star in it, and those squares will be exactly the same size. So if you get the bottom left hand corner always overlaid on each other, it will work exactly. You just put that down and it will be exactly in the center of the circle. Then that's the way he does it. Going over the page here, this is talking about lifting up the left hand corner, putting a piece of tape underneath. It just makes it easier to get off the model when you're actually wanting to do it. And then this one here is talking about preparing the mask, making sure you get all the little bits out, and then you put them down in a straight line. You can put them down and weed them after, but it's much easier to weed them on the backing paper because it's not stuck to that as well as it will to your model. Here he's using tape to position, so he's marked the center of the mask with a black pen, and he's got a piece of tape and marked that for the position on the model, and then he can just place that in position. And then here, where he's got the nose steps, he wants them evenly spaced across the wing. So what he's done is put a piece of tape down, measured it, marked 2 lines so they're sort of each at 2/3 of the wing or 1/3 of the wing or whatever. Then put your nose steps down, and you know they'll be equally spaced then. And also it helps you to keep them lined up like that. This is for transferring from one side to the other. So here, what he's done is put that mask there where he's got no step. And if he wants to make sure it's in exactly the same position on the other wing, he's got a scrap piece of masking tape, put it down. He's marked a V where the centre of that no step is, and he's marked there and there where those panel lines are, and he's also got a mark there where that panel line is. Then he's taken that tape off, turned it over, okay, put a piece of tape on the back of it, so you've got sticky side to sticky side, and then he's put it down, he's lined up that line there, lined up that line there with the panel line, lined up that there with the end of the aileron, and then he's got that V there, so he knows his no step is going to go down on there. Okay, as I say, there is going to be a generic how-to. I think I'll put it in the beginner series, because I know that a lot of you guys enjoy that, and it'll also be good to see, because basically a lot of these masks, they're all the same. You know, some are vinyl, some are like a kabuki tape. This is like kabuki tape, but basically the theory is the same all the way through. So that's the general bit of instructions. So what I'm going to do now is an actual demonstration, and I'm hoping it's going to work okay. What I'm going to do is show you this system here where we've got the stars and bars, I call it. So we are going to paint that with masks. So first of all, I'll explain how this works. What you do is start off with number 1, and you're going to take number 1 off the sheet. Take the center out of here. Then you're going to put your 1T, which is the transfer, on top of there. Okay, you're just going to lay it on there so it's roughly in the right place, so it's covering everything. Peel that away, put it down on the model, peel your transfer tape off, spray white, so you can have spray white in here. Then you're going to get your 1A, you're going to put your transfer tape on the top of there, so you've got 1AT, so that's 1A transfer tape. Put that on top of there, place that onto the model in that shape that you've already got. And then we're going to weed out these little bits here, the star and the 2 blocks either side. Do it on the model, otherwise it's going to be very difficult to keep the shape here. Do it on the model, and then we're going to spray blue, and then we take it all away, and we should have that in paint. So let's get on with it. Okay, so we've got our masks, we've got our wing. This is a Hellcat upper wing, so I've got one of them with folded wings. First things first, I mean, we really should have this primed, but we don't, so that's how it is. Always make sure you clean your model. So before you prime or paint or whatever, clean your model. So I've got some IPA here. I'm going to degrease it. So many times I've seen people use masks or paint their model, and then the masks or the tape, whatever, peels the paint off, and they blame the tape or they blame the paint or whatever. Now with Viejo, yeah, it's believable. It doesn't stick to the plastic very well at all. But invariably your paint peels off because your model wasn't clean when you painted it, and that's 9 times out of 10 will be the reason. So that is now cleaned with IPA, so I'm not going to touch that. So for this I'm going to do the national insignia, the American insignia, and I'm going to use MRP white surface primer. This is my favourite white on the planet. It's very, very fine, and it dries nice and smooth. It's not at all grainy. And then for the blue, we've got XF17, which is a bit dark, and we've got XF8, which is a bit light. So I'll do a little mix of the two just to mix it in the cup and go from there. So the first thing we need to do is identify what we need. Now, what I'm going to do here to aid with positioning, this is not something that's suggested by Sven. This is something that I've thought of myself. So I am going to get a Finograph. These are Rotring pens. This is Finograph 0.1, so it's a very thin pen, and I'm just going to draw a line. I'm going to make a mark up here to show forward, and I'm going to draw a line across here, being careful not to damage the mask. I think I've got a pen that's actually run out. So that was well planned, wasn't it? So I'm just going to put a line on there like that, and using any old pen or pencil or whatever, just make a line, and this is going to help me with lining it up. Now the first thing we've got to do here is take this off. So what I'm going to do is take this centre piece out, and you'll see now why I put the line on, because I want to be able to position this. So this is basically this is the finished size of your stars and bars. So say I want this to be perfectly aligned along one of these rivet lines here. I can get my panel, my masking piece, and put it down so that it is perfectly aligned with that rivet line there. It needs to come up again. So I can put that down on that rivet line there. Nope. You can see now why I'm doing this, because this is going to help us going forward. So I'm going to put that down there, put that down there. Okay, so I've now got that perfectly aligned with that rivet line there. That's what I wanted, that back edge perfectly aligned. And now I can come along with my pen and I can put a rule there. I can use a pencil or whatever, and I can put a line there, and I can put a line there. Right, and now I can remove this. Okay, so that's that done with. Put that down over there out of the way. Now what we've got to do is take our, let's get this out of the way, we've got to take our transfer tape, I'm going to lift it up. What I've forgotten to do is a little piece of masking tape. I thought I had a piece of masking tape on there, but I didn't. Right, let's get a piece of masking tape. Mr. Unprepared as usual. I just want a little piece of scrap tape, just like that, and I'm going to put it underneath this corner, just like so. Okay, and that will enable me to lift it off the model easier when we're finished. No, I'm not lifting that one, I'm lifting this one, aren't I? So this is just a piece of transfer tape. So we can basically put this down now over this one. And I do believe it's going to fit just inside the boundaries of that yet. So now we can see where that is. We can push that down. Okay. So that's gone down, and then we can lift this corner on here easily. Get our tweezers under there. And remove this from the backing. Now I've got those lines, which I can now line that one up. Let's just hold this. I can line that line up there. This is very, very difficult, and I've already messed it up. Okay, so here's a little additional suggestion. This is my suggestion. This is nothing to do with One Man Army. I have found this extremely difficult to put down because we've got such a large area of the transfer tape. It's like it just sucks itself down. So what I've done, I've got it upside down here, and what I've done, you can see I've put Tamiya tape on here, sticky face to sticky face. Okay, and it's only on the transfer tape. It's not on the surround. And then when I come to position this, it makes it a lot easier to position because we haven't got that massive area of transfer tape. So I can now position it much easier and then put it down just like so. Okay, and that is something I would seriously suggest you do, because I have just really struggled, because the trouble is the transfer tape sticks to the model as does the surrounding piece, and when you peel it up they kind of delaminate, so it's made it very, very difficult. So I've got that down now. Yes, I've got that slightly out of line there, but obviously if I was doing this on the real model I would take a lot more care. So now what we can do is we can get our knife and remove this piece of transfer tape, and you will see that that will come away with the Tamiya tape on the back of it, and it's not removing our mask at all. Okay, so there we go, we've got that there. Now I've got that ink under there. I would have to get rid of that with a bit of IPA, because obviously if we spray white under it's going to come through. So I've made those pencil marks, I made those marks too far in, and on your model I would use pencil or even a piece of masking tape and mark it on there, because I've used ink so you can see it. As you know, I always do, never use ink when you're going to be using paint. Now that template could be used again, or that transfer tape, so we're going to put that down on there. Put that back into our masking sheet, just like so. Right, so that's ready to paint now. So what we need to do is get some of our masking tape and just basically mask the surrounding area. Now obviously I'm not going to be too careful with this because it's only a scrap sample, but in reality what you should really be doing is masking a big area, because when you spray the white it will go everywhere, believe me. Okay, there we go. You can get that round there, get that round there. Put that down on there, like so. Another piece in there, like so. Little piece in there to cover up that corner. Piece on there. Piece on there, and a little piece there. There we go. So that's that all done. So now, with all that masking done, first thing I do is get a bit of IPA, just to show you. A bit of IPA on a cotton bud, and I'm going to remove that ink, because that's going to ruin the look. I know it's only a scrap sample, but I'm just going to remove that ink from there, because that will come through the paint. Okay, so the idea with the pencil line was just to align it. Again, my suggestion, not come from One Man Army at all. So obviously now we would get more masking tape around there and have this all masked off. So what I'm going to do now is paint it white. So I've got my MRP. I'm going to do this without a mask to show you basically how to go about using these masks. So I've got some MRP white in the airbrush, about 15-18 psi. I'm just going to wipe the top of the bottle off. And then I'm going to spray this to get the white. Now, just going to check the flow's all good. So we can paint the white on here now. As you can see, this paint is very, very thin, but it does give a beautiful finish. Now when you're painting with these masks, the paint needs to be kept dry. You don't want it wet, it'll bleed under. Just keep the paint nice and dry. Don't flood it on. And just build it up slowly. Okay, so I'm going to go to the booth because this stuff absolutely stinks. But you can see I'm just building it up slowly. Let the colour come through. Don't just try and flood the paint on. Okay, so that's painted. About half an hour has gone by. If you kind of sat there wondering, why do you go to all this trouble? Why not just use the decals? These things in real life were painted on. There weren't decals. And you can use all the effects that you use with your weathering and everything by masking rather than actually using decals. For instance, if I wanted to add some scratches or have it look like, you know, this has been repainted, so I could do this and then move the mask over a touch so you'll see the outline of something underneath it where it's been redone. You often see that with stenciling. When a panel's been repainted, you will see the lettering raised where the paint's there, especially if it's yellow, because the paint has to be quite thick to cover, and you will see the stencil just off from the other one. So it's that kind of thing. You could have pre-shading under there, you'd be able to see through it that you wouldn't see through a decal. So, and of course you also have to remember, a lot of decals, especially like Tamiya and the Hobby Boss, they can be quite troublesome, quite thick, and just don't look good. And then also you've got the colours. Quite often, as we know, a lot of these Asian kits, they have the wrong colours in the decals. So, you know, particularly the RAF roundels with the blue and the red and everything, quite often those colours are off. Here you can mix your own colours, you can fade it, you can tint it, you can bleach it, whatever. Like you can see, I've got a bit of a blotchy look there on that white. Not intentional, it just is because it's thin. So, you know, if I had camouflage under there, you'd probably see some of the camouflage through it. But anyway, enough waffle. Right, so moving along, what we need to do now is break the rule. One of the rules is always mask on the paper. But with this one, we're not going to, always weed on the paper, not mask on the paper. Always weed on the paper. Now, in this one, I'm not going to do that because I'll be left with nothing. So, what we're going to do here is get this transfer. This is 1AT. You can also see on here there's an X. Okay, that X, see the X on there? That X means it's a spare. So you can when you get this set, you can practice just like I am, and you can you know, not worry about risking losing your set. Now this is going to fit inside the boundaries of the original, of the actual proper mask. I've got it over too far there. We need to make sure that this transfer tape stays within the boundaries and it's nice and flat. There we go. So we're going to rub that down really well, okay, because we don't want any of the mask to stay behind. Okay, now we're going to pick this up from the corner, and we should be able to pick the whole thing up and not leave any of the stars or bars behind. There we go. Now we've got to put this on the model. This is going to be the hard bit because this wants to stick like the proverbial to your blanket. So I'm going to lay this in. I may have to do this off camera because I may have to use a magnifier to get it perfect, but we're going to get the corners in. Sorry, I didn't show you that, did I? As you can see there, the mask, the transfer tape is slightly smaller than the mask. So when you come to use it, that's what happens. Right, so we're going to put that, I'm going to use this top left hand corner here, try and line this mask up. So I've got that left hand corner in. This is very difficult to do so that you can see and I can see. It's I may well mess this up, and if I do, it's not the fault of the mask, it's because I should be working under a magnifier and I'm not. I'm just going to put this down on here and rub that really hard because that transfer tape didn't stick that well in that area. So I'm going to again line up this corner here. It's difficult to see in the white. I'm going to have to do this off camera, guys. I cannot do this so you can see what I'm doing. I'm really sorry, but basically what I've got to do is fit this precisely into there. So I'm going to do it under my magnifier with the camera turned off. Okay, we've got there in the end. As you can see, that is now fitted within that aperture of the original mask. So now we come along and remove our transfer tape. Just peel that back gently. Just like so. You can see it's wanting to lift. Okay, put that over there. And now what I'm going to do is just gently come along and push down anywhere where the transfer tape has actually lifted the mask. Now if any of this lifts the white paint, it's not the fault of the paint or the mask, it's me. I've only let that paint dry for about half an hour, so I should have probably left it more, but I want to get this video done. Okay, I can feel it slightly out of register there. But I'm not going to worry about that too much. I doubt if these were perfect anyway. As I say, this is a sample for a video. It's not the real thing. So what you can feel, if you go around, you can feel if you've got a step, if it's higher up. But you should be able to just slide it across. There we go. Right. So now what we've got to do is remove the mask where we want to paint it blue. So all this outer, in fact the whole outside of the mask has got to come off. So again I'm going to push all this over and get it all perfectly aligned. Now we need a very sharp point so as not to damage the white paint. Get underneath there and lift this outer ring off. and there is no way we're going to be able to reuse this. Okay, so we're going to very, very gently, as I say, this is breaking the old rule. You would normally weed on the paper and not on the model. Yes, this is called weeding. What I'm going to do there is just tear that there, so I can come to this side. Just very gently going. As soon as you start to see it lift the star or anything, you've got to stop and go back. But the cutting of these masks is so exquisite. It's like you won't find an issue with it lifting anything. There we go. It hasn't lifted any of the white paint either, which is good. Just shows you how good that MRP paint is. Right, so I'm not going to use a cotton bud because it will get fluff. I'm just going to use my finger. Just make sure this has all gone down nicely. Right, so now what we're going to do is paint the blue. I've got the paint here already mixed up in the cup. This is roughly 50-50 XF17 and XF8. I'm not sure if it's the right colour. I don't really care, to be honest here, but there we go. I think it's probably a little bit too bright. So we're going to very gently, again keeping the paint dry, just gently colour in this area. And as you can see, I'm keeping the paint dry so we don't get any pooling or anything. I'm just going to very, very slowly build up the colour. Getting a bit of tip dry, I think. It is quite warm today. As you can see, slowly building up the colour, not flooding it, and staying at 90 degrees to the masks as well. And when you start doing the finer stuff, like the little stencils and that, yeah, I've got tip dry happening. When you start doing the finer stuff like the stencils, which I will show you in another video, you need to be sort of going in all the angles to make sure you get the paint into all the nooks and crannies. But doing this, I'm just going to... You see, if I wanted a bleach look, I could leave it there and just unmask it now, and that would give you the bleach look. But I'm not going to go for the bleach, I'm going to go for the brand new look. So we get a nice sharp demarcation between the white and the... It's unusual to get tip dry so much with Tamiya paint. You can see slowly building it up. There we go. I'm going to finish this off camera because it's starting to stink. So I'll see. Okay, so there we go. The blue paint's down. The mix is quite good actually. Look at it there. So very, very carefully now with a sharp pointed knife, I am going to lift one of the corners on this star because I don't want to scratch the paint underneath. I should be able to just pick that up with the tweezers without scratching anything. There we go. As you can see, we have a very sharp, very nice star. The only place we've had any bleed is there where there's a rivet, and there where there's a rivet. So there we go. I mean, what you could do, what people often do, and I've done in the past, when you're masked up, when you're ready to do the blue, just give it a quick paint of white first, and if anything bleeds under, the white will bleed, and then when the blue goes on top, the white sort of acts as a seal, if you like, a gasket around the mask. So again, we're going to come into this corner here, very carefully pick that up, very carefully going with the tweezers. We do not want to scratch any paint. There we go, that's lovely. And then the same here. I'm just thinking I should have painted this wing a different colour first because the white's not going to stick up. It doesn't matter, that's what we're talking about. It's not a white, it's a blue edge, isn't it? Duh. I was thinking about if it's going to have a white edge around it. So there we are. So that's our insignia there. You can see, looking all nice and sharp and lovely. So we can get all this masking tape off. here. Obviously you're going to be more careful on your model than I'm being with this. So there we go. There we go. Job done. So now we're left with our one-man army mask there. So if you remember, I put that piece of masking tape under the corner. That makes it easy to lift that one up. So we can pick this up and just remove that from the edge, like so. And there we have our painted on insignia rather than a decal. And I think you'll agree there's no better way to get a painted on look than to paint it. So there we are. So the blue's not fully hard yet. I can see I'm starting to rub through it. I've got bits coming off my fingers onto it. But there we are. So if you wanted to sort of mess around with that and fade it a bit, you could come in with I've got a 1000 grit sponge here. Just come along, do that. I can bleach it, I can take away all the edges, and as you can see that looks now a bit worn. So there we are. And if you want to rub it some more, you can really go to town and really make it look like it's been sat in the sun for a few weeks. Just get a bit more on that front edge there. You see, that's what you can't do with a decal. So there you are. So hope you enjoyed that. I'm sorry if these when I do these one-man army mask reviews, they're always a little bit bitty, because it's sort of, you know, when I'm building a cockpit on a model airplane, I sort of know what's going to happen when I do something. You know, when I put clear gloss in the dials, I know how it's going to look. I know how much to put in. When I do this, it's always my first time, and you're seeing me do it for the first time, and it's never good. So sorry if it's all a bit bitty. I'll try and edit it and make it as smooth as I can. But I think you'll agree the finished results are amazing. As I say, I'm going to do another video, a generic sort of how I use one-man army masks video, and that way I can do a bit of practice and it'll be a lot smoother. But I hope you enjoyed that. If you have got the A20, I would thoroughly recommend this set, because it's got, as I say, it's got all these stencils in it that you don't get in the model. And you've also, the only things you haven't got in here, as I say, are the ladies, the walkway markings, and the French and American flags. You don't have them in here. The walkway markings on the decal sheet are red. I think they should be black, but you know, check your references. These planes flew for a very long period of the war. So yeah, I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. As I say, sorry it's been a bit bitty, but I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to get yourself a set and you're in the UK, get on over to Hannant's and get yourself a set ordered. As I say, I think these are the first ones anywhere that anybody's had. So so I'm pleased to be the man with the first ones. Man in a, yeah. Right, so I'll see you all soon. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.